We're doing another NFL best ball draft. We're going to start in a few minutes. Before we do, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. As always, wearing something from the merch store is our famous money laundering t-shirt, which I was the other day in Chick-fil-A. I was there, and a couple of guys who are about maybe like 19 or 20. They saw the shirt and like, oh, cool. I wish I could launder money. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what I do because I'm wearing the shirt. But you can get those sort of reactions if you own the shirt. So you can get it here, 10% off sale right now. You can get it in any color. You can get any of these shirts in any color, and long sleeve hoodie, women's tank top, and infant onesie. We have other things too, like a famous apron, playing cards, mouse pads, mugs, baby bibs, blankets, more mugs, so much stuff here, baseball caps, so much here, 10% off sale. Like I said, you can go to Amazon, buy my books. The most recent one is Jerks of the College Years, which is a book where I made fun of these wonderful people you can see on the cover. And my first book was The Safety and a Field Goal, which is a top 5 topic book about the NFL, mostly serious stuff, but some fun stuff too. And please consider super chats and super stickers. That is the best way to support the show. We haven't gotten one in a while, and like I always say, YouTube ads pay us nothing. It's like $1 or $2, maybe $3 if we're lucky. So if you really want to keep the show going, that is the best way to do it. But we're joined once again by Mike Luchene from NFLRoughDraft.com. Mike, how are you?
I'm great. And for the guy who you ran into with the shirt, I think people who launder money probably don't wear it on their t-shirts.
You would think, but when I was in Las Vegas last year, I wore this around, and I got like 8 people stop me, like, "Oh, what? I love money laundering," and like someone's like, "Yo, come here, we still launder coins. Like, come here." And like this old guy, like told me a story about her laundering coins, and then I went to a souvenir shop to buy something for my kids, and the woman at the register is like, Where do you launder money?" I'm like, I can't say.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep that one to myself.
Yeah. Let me announce it to the world. It's unbelievable how I get like so many reactions for this. I definitely recommend it if you're into sort of that thing where you get reactions from people in public. I always love that stuff. You can get that shirt. It's awesome. But Mike, you told me before the show that you've gotten your draft board set. Let me enter the draft. Hold on, Cassandra saying, "Salute Mike, merci de m'avoir envoyé ce lien pour la Ligue de Dynasty to calculer un de bien." My French is pretty poor. It says, "Hi Mike, please give me advice for Dynasty. You are, I don't know, coquin means bien is good. I used to take French a lot. That was a long time ago. Do you
Yeah,
know
me
it?
too. Hi, Cassandra, and j'aime la bibliothèque. Okay, my name is the library.
Je
That's
joue
what
au
I,
tennis.
that's what I retained from high school. Um, now, Cassandra, that offer to join the Dynasty League that I have,
Oh,
that still stands, just so you know.
okay. Is that do you know exactly what Cassandra said? I mean,
I
you
have no
said you were
idea.
rusty.
No,
Okay, so
absolutely not.
this is a callback to I was I was making fun of this French guy on Twitter who I was just making fun of soccer, and this guy's like, "Oh, you stupid Americans, you're so uncultured," and I'm like, "Well, France is a third world country, so you can't talk." And so he got so mad he had like 4 reply meltdown that he just like responded to me. So I was just trolling him the whole time. He's like, and I was continuing in French. He's like, we are getting a train in France. I'm like, we had trains in 1800. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you so excited about this? Um, I don't know.
They were
I
big in the 1800s, though. They were a big deal back then.
oh yeah. That show on AMC. It was about like Carl Meany was in it. A couple other famous guys where they were building the train for the first time. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was a
Yeah.
decent show, but it was a little slow, and I got bored after a while. But the first season I thought was pretty good, and then it's kind of like repetitive and stuff like that. But it was a story about how they were building the trains and like all the politics behind it and stuff like that. It was pretty good. I liked it.
Cornelius Vanderbilt, right? He was the big guy
Yeah,
back in the 1800s. He had the first train empire here in the U.S.
yeah. So I don't know what's going on here. Let me try to load it this way. Yeah, for some reason DraftKings can't read my location, which is which would be an issue trying to do best ball drafts, right? Yeah, so anyway, as I was saying before, you completed the first 6 rounds of your draft board. Do you have any like interesting things about that? Like, maybe it's like something that you have that other people don't, like them, you're way different because you've done a couple of best ball drafts with me so far. Does anything like stand out to you as like, oh, this is going to be way different than what people have?
Yeah, I think I have a lot of that. And so for the people who are tuning in, it's not like I'm just like learning about this year's football season right now. Real quick, because I've said this on previous shows, but real quick, I am in like 50 dynasty leagues. So May and June are dynasty draft season for me. I don't play a lot of redraft or best ball. And I try to kind of avoid minicamp news because it usually never holds up when you get to training camp. So when I start my chart, I don't look at any ADP. I don't look at any other rankings or anything like that. But, like you mentioned, we've done a couple of these drafts, and I've actually gone back to some of these videos, after I finish every like 3 rounds or so to take a look, like, all right, well, where are these guys going? And I have a lot of differences.
You do? Okay.
So I mean, I guess just to call out a couple in the beginning of the so let's see. I've seen David Montgomery going later than I have him. I think
Okay.
that he's a fine pick in the beginning of the 4th round, with that offensive line being a little bit better. I've seen him go in like the 5th round.
Yeah.
Travis Etienne, I think, has been going in the 3rd round, I believe, late
Yes.
3rd round. I have him in the 5th round.
Okay.
Last year was a career year for him. Tyler Shuck is going to run around with the ball. He's not going to dump it off to the running back a lot. I still kind of like Devin Neal. I'm not saying Devin Neal is going to have a big fantasy year either, but I don't love that running back spot in that offense, the way that offense is presently constructed. And then another one's DK Metcalf. So just real quick on DK Metcalf, he's like the most consistent wide receiver in fantasy football, and he has been for years. He had 12.5 points per game last year. He's always right between 12.5 points per game and 14.5 points per game. And he's always somewhere between wide receiver 20 and like wide receiver 29. He usually goes late 3rd or 4th round. Maybe in some drafts you get in the first couple picks of the 5th round in previous years. This year he's going a little bit later than that, I noticed. And I mean, it's debatable because you're taking him like wide receiver 32, and he's probably a pretty safe bet to be wide receiver 24. And that's good. But at the same time, I guess I could kind of see the allure of saying, well, I want to try to draft someone who's going to be wide receiver 10 with that pick. But yeah, I think I like Metcalf a little bit more than the consensus so far this year too. And I'm sure we'll get into a lot more of these too.
I definitely agree with you on Montgomery and ATN. Montgomery has been someone I've been drafting often, like beginning of 5th round or even end of 4th round. I think he should have a good year. The Houston's improved their offensive line. By the way, we are in. And then ATN, yeah, I think ATN is going to like maybe fall off a cliff. It's like 2 years ago he was benched for Tank Bigsby. It's like I don't have much confidence in that. Like any running back who's been separated from Leon Cohen has regressed in some fashion. And there's Kamara too. You mentioned Devin Neal. Like, what are your thoughts on Kamara? I mean, maybe he could be traded or something, but if he remains on the team, do you think like he's going to be part of the offense?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I saw that he showed up for the mandatory minicamp this year, which he doesn't normally do. So it seems like he kind of understands that his role with the team is a little bit more in jeopardy than it has been. So I don't really know what to make of Kamara. I'm avoiding him. I know you mentioned that in the 16th, 17th round you've been getting him, and I think that's fine. Just because he's got the potential to catch a lot of passes, and it's kind of the argument I had for taking him in the fourth round last year, which I was wrong about, is he gets so many targets,
Hmm.
that he's he's worth it even if he doesn't do much with those targets. So if he ends up in a different situation, maybe a running back somewhere else gets hurt in camp and he goes somewhere else, he's got the possibility to be a good pick in the 16th or 17th round. But I wouldn't go near him, with a top 10
Yeah.
round pick.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. I think he's like late guy. Maybe he's even traded and he goes to
Mhm.
a better situation. So
Yep.
we're on the board here. This time I'm doing odds. You're doing evens.
Mhm.
So we'll see who I end up with the 10th pick here. Um, just trying to say I don't really recognize Brand. I recognize Brandon, who's picking 11th, and Mr. AZ Sports Fan 12, but the other guys I don't recognize. With Metcalf, a couple things bother me. Well, first of all, I'm very down on the Steelers this year. I think they could just fall off a cliff. Um, and second, the three things. Second, Rogers is going to be 43 soon, so
Mhm.
that's gonna be an issue. And third is speaking of Rogers, like he was just releasing the ball very quickly last year because he had no interest in getting hit, and I don't see why that would change. And what they were doing last year was they had Metcalf catch a bunch of short passes, at least until they pivoted to Gainwell doing that late in the year. And I feel like this year it's going to be Pittman doing that, and like Metcalf's going to go deep. And I don't know if like Rogers either has the willpower to do that or the offensive line to get the protection for him to do that. So that's why I'm down on Metcalf. But I don't. I don't know. I'm not like super against him. I mean, he's very talented. It's just like the situation really bothers me.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, I'm on the clock right now. Um, see the best player available is Jonathan Taylor according to my ADP. I have not drafted him yet. I usually get James Cook around this area, but he's gone. I have 10 seconds left. I've Taylor starred. I'm just looking at everything. Um, I'm gonna take Taylor. What do you think about that pick?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to run the offense through him again this year. There's no reason not to. This is the last year of his deal. Um, I mean, it's not even like it's the last year of his rookie deal and they, might want to keep him kind of fresh for the future. I mean, he's 27, I believe.
Hmm.
He's getting down toward the end of it. There's no reason to keep any tread on the tires after this. So he's going to get a ton of touches this year.
Yeah, what bothers me about him is that Daniel Jones may not be healthy, and we saw last year what happened when they stacked the box. Like it's a concern. And you're up, by the way. Let's go to ADP. The top ADP guys are Hampton, London, Chase Brown, AJ Brown, Achan, Bowers, Henry, Collins, McBride. Anyone you see here you like?
Yeah, I know it's starting with two running backs, but Amari Hampton is a slam dunk for me here. I have
Nice,
him at 11 overall.
nice.
I just think he's he's in line for a big bump this year. I know he was hurt last year, but you know their offensive line. We talked about this a lot the last couple of shows, but they have two of the top five tackles in the NFL. They're both out for most of the year. They're both healthy now. They drafted Jake Slaughter, the center from Florida, in the second round. They fixed the interior of their offensive line. I just think that Hampton has the potential to be. It's tough to call him a league winner
Hmm.
when you're taking him at the end of the first round or the early second round. But it's almost kind of like I could see a situation where like Christian McCaffrey, uh, right before he really took off, was going right around in this range, and then he turned into one of those guys who was, a top 3 or 4 pick in fantasy football for most of the next, I don't know, 7 years or so. I
Yeah,
could see the same thing happening with Hampton this year.
yeah. I love Hampton this year. Did you hear what Mike McDaniel said about him? That he's the next Terrell Davis.
Oh no, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he said that like about a week ago, I think.
Okay.
Maybe like not those words, but he said he reminded him of Terrell Davis or something.
Yeah,
Um,
I could see that.
yeah, so that was pretty encouraging, right? And we saw what McDaniel did with Devon Achan, who
Yeah.
just had a monster year last year, and I think that as long as Hampton stays healthy, which didn't happen last year, he could have a huge year. I was hoping you would take Hampton because that's what I would have done at this pick.
Yeah, even Raheem Mostert had 20 touchdowns in that,
Yeah.
with McDaniel back, going back 4 years or so now. But definitely going to be between McDaniel being there and Jim Harbaugh loving the run game.
Yeah.
I just think he's going to be in line for a huge workload this year.
Yeah. So we're 2 rounds through. Does anyone stand out to you as being like too early? Here.
Yeah,
Um,
James Cook. I mean,
oh yeah, right. We disagree on that one.
James Cook ahead of Smith and Jigba and St. Brown and CeeDee Lamb, and even some of these running backs here. I know he's had 2 really good seasons of high touchdown potential or high touchdown production, but Ty Johnson's got a role in that offense. They aren't going to take that away from him by all indications. Ty Johnson's the passing down back. So anytime there's a 2-minute drive and the Bills are trying to score at the end of a half or end of a game, it's Ty Johnson in the game. And if James Cook reverts back to, I don't know, 8 touchdowns instead of the 20 or whatever he's been having, then I just like him better sort of in that like late second round range, which I know is a lot lower than his ADP of the end of the first round.
Yeah, I would have said Rashi Rice. He just has a lot of issues. Staying healthy, just staying out of trouble as well. You have Patrick Mahomes with the torn ACL. We don't know how he's going to respond. So I second round is pretty crazy. I'm going to take Emeka Ibuka here. I think he's going to have a huge year. Mike Evans is gone. Chris Godwin is, kind of close to aging out. And I think Ibuka could just have be one of those second-year receivers who just has a monster year.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield's going to support at least one top 24 wide receiver. And I mean, Mayfield's so good, it's very likely that that's a top 15 receiver. So if that's Ibuka, he's a steal there at the end of the third round.
Yeah. What do you think about Breece Hall? I liked him until I heard the Geno Smith news. But Geno Smith might be suspended. We have no idea what's going on there yet. But if he is, it's gonna be Cade Klubnik time. And the appeal to me with Breece Hall this year was that Geno Smith's not a scrambler, and so he's going to throw more dump offs to Hall, unlike what Fields did last year. And now like Klubnik's a scrambler, so we're kind of back to square one here. You're up, so let's go through this before that question. You have ATN. We know who you don't like him. Williams, Wilson, Loveland, McMillan, Jacobs, McLaurin, Moore, Adams, Waddle, Montgomery, Evans, Swift. Who do you like?
Yeah, so you're probably going to hate this here, but I kind of like Garrett Wilson. I know like Geno Smith has a little bit of uncertainty, but I mean, Garrett Wilson in the 4th round just seems like a value to me. I still think he's going to get funneled so many targets in that offense. Adonai or AD Mitchell's been getting talked up in minicamp, but he's still AD Mitchell. Omar Cooper looks like he's got some potential, but he's a rookie. Sadiq is a rookie. So I just think Garrett Wilson is your wide receiver 2 in round 4. He just has a chance to be at least a round higher in overall value, especially if Geno Smith goes back to, Geno Smith's never been particularly great, but if he just plays a little bit better than he did last year, he could definitely support Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I don't hate the pick. You said I'd hate it. I definitely don't. By the way, Parker Washington, 4th rounds. That's the earliest I've seen him. I like him, but 4th round's kind of crazy. Anyway, if it's Klubnik, these young quarterbacks love to lock in on the top receiver. Like they don't go through their progressions as much as the seasoned veterans. So I don't think Wilson's going to be that impacted if it goes from Geno Smith to Klubnik. Now, if it's Brady Cook, if Klubnik gets hurt, we're or one injury away to Brady Cook if Geno Smith's not available. And I actually do hope we see it, because that was like betting opportunity of a lifetime. Just betting against Brady Cook every game last year, it was awesome. It's just like 5 units on against Cook, 5 units against Cook, 5 units against Cook. Like, it was automatic each week.
Yeah, he would complete about 3 passes per game. It
He was
was
horrible,
beyond bad. But
It's
I think
yeah, some of the worst quarterbacking I've ever seen.
absolutely. And if something does happen with Geno Smith, I know the Jets are playing for 2027, and they they're kind of looking at Klubnik as being the backup of the future, not the starter. I still think, though, they would go out and get someone so that they weren't starting Kate Klubnik, early in the season. It might not be anyone great. It might be like an Aiden O'Connell or someone like that. But that would be pretty dicey if they stepped into the year with Klubnik and Brady Cook.
Yeah.
Almost as bad as stepping into the year with Justin Fields.
Almost. Yeah, that would be pretty bad. Montgomery went. I was hoping he would come back to us at 5'10". I guess it was too much to ask, probably. What do you? I was going to ask you about Jalen Waddle. He went 407, and he came up in my mind because I was listening to, I don't even know, like I listen to like random fantasy podcasts when I'm doing stuff. And someone's like, "Oh, I love Jalen Waddle. I've been drafting him round 3." I'm like, I think that's insane. I don't even like him round 4. But what do you think about Waddle this year? Now that he's in Denver.
Yeah, I've got him in round 6. My charts, it's really geared toward redraft lineup leagues, and
Yep.
I like Waddle probably about a round higher than that in best ball.
Mm-hmm.
Because he does have the big play potential, even though he isn't really a volume receiver. But that's just way too early for me. It's been a while since he's been able to stay healthy and have a big year. It's not just like, oh, hey, last year was a down year. It's been a while for him. And, you look at some of the, like, you're taking him over Tet McMillan. Tet McMillan's got a chance to blow up and, be a late first round pick or a second round pick next year. I consider taking him over Garrett Wilson. So you don't really have that same potential with Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, I just don't see it. It's just so many receivers in Denver. Bo Nix may not be 100%. And Waddle, we have one of our other co-hosts on here, Butters. He calls him a pyramid scheme. And it's just so appropriate for that. It's just, he just, like, except for his rookie year, he just hasn't produced.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with our third running back. I'm going to take Bashaw Tootin. Now, it'll suck if it's Chris Rodriguez, but I think Tootin's way more talented than Rodriguez, and he's Liam Cohen's handpicked guy that he took in the 4th round last year. So I think that Tootin is a good pick in the 5th round. What do you think about him?
I completely agree with you. I mean, you just mentioned it. They made a point of taking him in the 4th round. After the draft, talking about how he was one of the key guys that they, had highlighted on their board, although you could question the Jacksonville Jaguars draft board and what they do. But I like Tootin before the draft. I actually had him on a bunch of my teams last year, just waiting for him to get the opportunity. And then ETN was a little bit better. Tootin just kind of like ran out of time. I feel like if there were a couple more weeks left in the season, he might have had a couple of big games at the end. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I love that pick. I have him. I have him at the top of the 5th round. I actually have him ahead of ETN on my chart.
Okay, yeah, I think I like him more in the ETN too. All right, so the best players available now. We have one more pick. Trevion Henderson, Joe Burrow, Bucky Irving, Brian Thomas Jr., Jaron Price, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., Caleb Williams, Jordan Tyson, Jane Daniels, Tony Pollard, Quentin Johnson, DK Metcalf. Who do you like here?
Yeah, so I mean, Henderson
went.
So this is gonna limit, I guess, what we can do a little bit after this. But how do we pass on Bucky Irving in the 6th round?
Yeah, I can't do it. Yeah,
I mean, I feel like the Kenneth Gainwell kind of hype train is just out of control right now. I know he was pretty good last year with the Steelers, but he's still Kenneth Gainwell. Bucky Irving was hurt. I know he had the shoulder thing even in the spring, but they don't have a game on Sunday, right? I mean, he's got a couple of months left here to get right. And, we saw what he did as a rookie. I mean, he's not your typical 6-round running back. I'm a little bit surprised to see that that's where he goes in these drafts.
Yeah, he has a Q tag next to him, so I think that's why he's falling. I love him in the 6th round. I think that's such a steal. Yeah, I mean, he returned to practice recently. Like he wasn't full go, but he was at practice. So this is not like Joe Mixon last year, where Mixon just wasn't practicing at all, and then he missed the whole year. So I think it's just a completely different injury. Plus Mixon had the foot issue rather than the shoulders. So that's such a big difference, I think. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
speaking
love
of injury, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just said I love the pick. So go ahead.
So speaking of injury issues, how is Malik Neighbors still going at the top of the 4th round in these? I mean, these are best ball drafts too. Like you're getting a 0 for half the season.
Yeah, that's crazy. I can't believe people are doing it. It's like he's just sitting there at the ADP because I think maybe earlier in the offseason we didn't really know how bad the knee issue was, and so he was going around that range, and so people could just kept taking him because the ADP is there, and then this guy comes around, this AZ sports fan guy, and he's there 401. He's like, oh, Neighbors is here as ADP. He's the highest player. Let me take him. It's kind of like not really thinking. It's just going with it's kind of the shiny toy in front of you. Even though it's broken. it's such a bad pick.
He's going to be going in the 7th and 8th round of these drafts in a couple of months when people are paying more attention.
Yeah, you know what this is? This is buy the dip in the stock market. Where I don't know how familiar stock market you are, but when there's a huge plummet, it's usually like it goes up a little bit. It's kind of like a bear flag. That's what this is. Like people are like, oh, Neighbors in the 4th round. I can't believe we got Neighbors in the 4th round. And so he's going to go in the 4th round for like 3 weeks. And then he's going to in 3 weeks or 4 weeks when we're doing this, he's going to be like a 410. And then the next week, some guys go, oh, I can't believe he's in the 5th round. And so they're going to start drafting him like crazy in the 5th round. And so it's the same phenomenon. I don't get it. Where would you take Neighbors? If he's there in 8th round, do you like him? 10th round, 12th?
I would take him in the probably late 7th or 8th round range. Even missing that time, just because, if you happen to get it right with the rest of your team and maybe you're a little bit weak at wide receiver, even though you're taking the 0 for the first 6 or 7 weeks, this is a tournament. So maybe your team is able to hang in there and then, oh, wow, I've got 8th round Malik Neighbors, for the second half of the season. And that might make a difference. But that's up against, again, guys like we're seeing here, Cortland Sutton or someone like that. I'm not taking him in the 4th round or the 5th round or even the 6th round.
Yeah. 7th round Sutton, maybe even a little too early. But it's for me, Neighbors. It would have to be like round 8 or something, round 9. I don't even know because you're not going to get any production out of him. You just can't do that. You can't take zeros, not with your first 8, 9, 10 picks. Okay, I'm up right now. We don't have a quarterback. I'm considering one of our favorites running backs. So we don't have a quarterback. And Jalen Hurts is here, 7-10. He was going 4-10 last year. And I know that A.J. Brown's not here anymore, but he's still going to run. He's still going to get the tush pushes. And, he's going to continue to lock in on 2 guys. It's going to be Devontae and Goddard instead of A.J. Brown. And A.J. Brown was kind of aloof last year. He just wasn't the same. He was dropping a lot of passes. And so I think Hurts is a really good value. What do you think about the pick?
Oh, absolutely. And we discussed this the last couple of shows as well. It just doesn't make sense. I think people are looking at it and, like you said, saying, oh, A.J. Brown's gone. But he doesn't throw the ball he can't throw the ball. He runs around, and you mentioned the tush push, and even beyond that, he scrambles for a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns, and he's going to continue to be a great fantasy football player because of that.
Yeah. You're one pick away. Top players are Stevenson, Jalen Warren, Trevor Lawrence, Makai Lemon, Matthew Stafford, Rico Doodle, Jaden Reed, Sam Laporta, Kyle Pitts, Michael Pittman, Brock Purdy, Josh Downs, who went? Jaden Reed went. Kyle Monangai, Addison, Fan, and Brooks, Dart, Goff, Corum. Who do you like?
Yeah, so I kind of like Kyle Pitts here. I know you don't love taking early. Oh wait. Yeah, that's by sorted by ADP, right? Yeah.
Yeah, sorted.
So I kind of like Kyle Pitts here. I know you don't really like drafting early tight ends.
Yeah.
But I mean, he really stepped it up last year. It looks like, hopefully it wasn't just so he could get the contract extension. It was a contract year and all that.
Mm-hmm.
He was a pretty big difference maker at the end of the year. And I just like having a big play potential at tight end rather than like having the hope for the touchdown, the 2 catches and one of them is a touchdown each week.
Yeah, I mean, he has some huge games for sure. And then he disappears for a while, and then he has some huge games. But like, that's good in best ball. So he's definitely, I think, a better best ball player than redraft player. I mean, the only reason, well, I mean, there are 2 reasons why I don't like taking tight ends early. One is it's a one-off position, and unlike quarterback, they score fewer points. Like quarterbacks score a lot, so that's the difference. But primarily, the second reason is that there are just so many good values to tight end this year. It's insane. Like it rounds 13 through 17, just like littered with good tight ends. And so, I play best ball. I play DFS a lot. And, in DFS, you should, like the primary angle is, you look for the value. If there's great value at the bottom, like the minimum salary guys, and you can play all the studs. But if there's like no value and like the best value, just because of that is in the mid tier, and you have to have like a more balanced lineup. And so that, to me, I'm just looking at how people are drafting, and you can get good tight ends. You can get like 3 good tight ends between rounds 12 through 17. And so I'm like, why go tight end early? Like, I like Pitts. I think he's a great talent. I like all these guys. Not Laporta, maybe because coming off the injury. Kraft the same. But there's some other guys going this range. So, like even Loveland to 406 or Warren, like these guys are awesome. But I'm just not drafting him because of the depth that you have at tight end,
Yeah, I totally get it. I guess my counter argument would be there are only a handful, and it is still more than it used to be.
Yeah.
There are probably only about 10 or 11 of them that are capable of having those really big spike weeks where, you can get those guys a little bit later, like the guys that you're talking about. And, they still have good games, but like they're not going to have, 130 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns or something like that. It's going to be more like, all right, well, this guy's going to have 50 yards and a touchdown, and then maybe the next week, my other tight end will have 50 yards and a touchdown. I like these top tight ends that have a chance to just, what I'm saying? Like the very top tight ends, and I'm not sure if Kyle Pitts is in that territory or not.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll find out this year. He was last year toward the end of the year when he had Kirk Cousins there. He hasn't been before that. But if he's in that like top tier, then there's a huge difference between the top 6 or so tight ends every year, and then like tight ends 7 through like 25 are all about the same. So I don't know if I'm making my point really clear, but I'll have to pull it up at some point on the like fantasy points per game. But usually you have an advantage if you get those top few tight ends, and you have to hit it right. And we'll see on Pitts.
Yeah. We'll look at tight ends once this draft's complete, and we'll see if any of those guys are capable of having huge games. I was hoping Blake Corum would fall to us, but this guy drafting 8th, he just takes all the running backs apparently. I'm taking Ricky Pearsall. I actually just watched 49ers Cardinals from week 3. Don't ask me why. Actually, I'll tell you. I'm writing a book. Did I tell you I'm writing a book? I've written a few books already, but I'm writing my 4th book, It's called The Year of the Bad Beat, and
Okay.
I'm about halfway through. I think I don't know. I don't know exactly, but it seems like I'm halfway through. And it's just a book about how many utterly terrible bad beats I had last year betting wise. Like we had a good year. Like we actually were up 50 units on the year. And hold on, I'll tell you more after because we're one more pick until you're up. So according to ADP, the top players available are Jordan Addison, Jonathan Brooks, Jared Goff, J.K. Dobbins, Jacoby Myers, Kyler Murray, who just went. Addison just went. Myers, Kyler Murray, Kincaid, Golden, Shuck, Jones, Dobbs, Mayfield, Likely, Krosky, Merritt. Who do you like?
Yeah, let's go. Let's throw Jacoby Myers. It's best ball.
Yeah.
So he'll have a couple of big weeks. Brian Thomas will have some big weeks. Parker Washington will have a couple of big weeks. We'll capture a couple of big weeks out of Jacoby Myers here.
No. Okay, so with this book, it's just we had a good betting year, but it was insane how many just bad beats we had every week, like 2 or 3 bad beats in the NFL. And it was like we're on the wrong side of like so many crazy plays that happened. Like for example, I don't know if you remember the Rams Eagles game from week 3 last year, where the Rams were plus 3.5, and they were up 26-7 in the third quarter, and they the Eagles came back, but they were still covering. They were down by 1 point, and they were kicking a field goal at the end of the game to win the game, and Jordan Davis blocks the kick, and there's 0 seconds on the clock, so you can just go down and still win the game because Eagles are up by 1. He just runs it back for a touchdown. So that's one thing that happened. And then on the same day, we had 49ers Cardinals, which was like, first of all, the Niners are only minus 1.5 against the Cardinals. Like, think about how insane that is. Like how wrong that spread is. Because the 49ers went to the second round of the playoffs. The Cardinals had the worst record in the NFL. Yet in week 3, the Niners are only minus 1.5, right? So I love the Niners at minus 1.5. And first of all, in the first quarter, Nick Bosa, that's the game where Nick Bosa gets lost for the year with torn ACL. But the Niners are still in good shape. Like they were tied. They had the ball. And that was the game where I think it was Dominic Puny, the guard for the Niners. He gets called for a hold in the end zone for his safety, and the Cardinals get the safety. They go up by 2, and the Niners kick a field goal at the end to win by 1, so they don't cover the 1.5. But there wasn't a safety because the hold occurred at the 3-yard line, and like everyone like had the photograph of like there was the hold at the 3. Like I even had that in my book. I copied the image, and it's like at the 3. It shouldn't have been a safety, So like that was the same day that occurred as well. So it was, and of course the Arizona meltdown against Tennessee where DeMarcado dropped the ball. Right before the goal line. So that was 2 weeks after that, and that was a week after Adonai Mitchell did the same thing. So I had that. I was on the Colts for Mitchell. I was on the Cardinals for DeMarcado. I was on the Rams for the block field goal. I was on the Niners with the phantom safety. Like, wow, it's insane. It really is insane. I'm writing this, and at the end of that Cardinals Niners chapter, I'm like, I don't know what to say anymore. This is crazy,
Yeah, that's some bad luck. There were definitely some weird games. Did you have that Jets game? Remember was against Tampa?
Against Tampa, yeah. I didn't have. I don't know if I played on the game, but they came back. That was a backdoor cover. Was there anything weird that happened in that game outside of a backdoor cover? I can't remember. I didn't rewatch that one, so I'm not. I don't remember it that clearly.
I think the Jets were down big in that game, but I don't remember the specifics.
They were. Actually, I have it right here. I've summaries of every game written down. Let me read what I have for that one. I think that was the same day. Yeah, that was the same day. Okay, Buccaneers 29, Jets 27. The Buccaneers had a big lead in this game, but the Jets had a backdoor touchdown in the fourth quarter. Baker Mayfield broke a long scramble to set up a front door field goal, but it was blocked, scooped, and scored. The Buccaneers drove down for the win. Okay, yeah, that's what happened. It was the blocked field goal return for a touchdown. So we had 2 blocks returned for a touchdown, resulting in bad beats. I wasn't on that side though, so luckily I avoided that one. I don't know what I would have done with like 4 bad beats the same day, because that day was also the game where the Steelers and Patriots played, and again, Patriots were home underdogs against the Steelers. Okay, like think about how dumb that line is now, right?
Yeah.
Right, and the Patriots lost that game. They outgained the Steelers in that game, 369 to 203. Yards per play,
Wow.
5.2 to 4.1, but they lost by touchdown because they had 5 turnovers, including Stevenson fumbling at the goal line. And the Steelers didn't have any touchdowns. Like the Steelers only had one good drive that whole game. Like I just rewatched it. The second drive of the game, they had a nice touchdown drive. They didn't do anything else the whole game, and yet,
The
they
Sunday
won.
night game? Was that
No,
Sunday
it was
night?
a 1 p.m. game.
1 p.m. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Patriots started 0-1. The Patriots started their year by losing at home to the Raiders.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's why, like, I told Andy, who we have on Wednesday nights, I'm like, once we get to week 4, I just throw out week 1 because it's basically like the preseason, and there's so many weird random results from week 1. I'm just like, I can't take it seriously, you know. I'm up with 1 in 1 pick. We need quarterbacks when they won before they all disappear. We heard good news on Stroud today. And it's like he's looking good, but of course that could be like a fluff piece, you know. But I'll take a shot on him. Why not? I was hoping Mayfield would come back to us, but he went to 10:09. Sometimes he falls. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm through 3 weeks, but I also did like results from other sports, because it's the year of the bad beat, right? So it's like all of 2025. I lost on a Timberwolves Mavericks game. Timberwolves minus 3.5, and they're up by 4 with like 3 seconds left. And Kyrie Irving got the ball. He dribbled like right over midcourt and he shot a prayer and it went in. And the Timberwolves won by 1. Yeah, and even the announcer was like, "Oh, look at that shot." It's like,
but then they're still losing at that point. What did they just?
Yeah, they lost by 1. Yeah, they lost by 1, but I lost my minus 3.5.
Oh, they still lost. Oh, okay.
Yeah. You're gonna be up in 1 pick. The top players available are Krosky, Merritt, Mason, Malik Willis, Tyron Tracy, Sam Darnold, Chris Rodriguez, Aranda Gaston, Okonkwo, Daniel Jones, Pacheco, Shaheed, Marks, Charbonnet, etc. Who you like?
So I kind of like Shaheed here, but I'm gonna leave this one up to. There are 3 players who I kind of like. I kind of like Shaheed. I don't mind Mason because Aaron Jones is 30. And then the other one's Malik Willis. So there's 3 different positions for you.
We need a third quarterback. I'm gonna just take Willis. We took Shaheed. Okay, we ran out of time.
Right. Well, you know what?
He was my second option.
Great in best ball.
Yeah, he was my second option, so I think we're okay. Yeah, we need a receiver too. He's only our 5th receiver. I like Shaheed. I'm glad that you like him as well. He was so productive in New Orleans, and you know he goes to Seattle and he's a great special teamer, but he doesn't do anything on offense for some reason, which was very strange, you know. But you know, I think with the whole offseason to spend with Sam Darnold, that should help him, right? Like, I'd be surprised if he's not that productive.
Wasn't he really good in one of the playoff games too? I thought he had a really big divisional round.
Yeah, it was one of the games. Well, the divisional round was when he had the kickoff return to start the game against the Niners.
Okay, so that's not as a receiver, I guess. But
do we have we have stats here? We have 2 for 27, 1 for 51, and then a 0. Oh wait. Yeah, 0. Oh, yeah, 0. Okay, yeah. The divisional round against the Niners, 0, but he had the touchdown on the kickoff. And then
I think that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, Rams, he had 1 for 51, and then 2 for 27. By the way, my decision to draft Shaheed in the fantasy playoffs is going to scar me forever. In playoff best ball, I had a perfect Seahawks Patriots stack, like all the top players, right? And except for JSN, who didn't do much in the Super Bowl. So like that was right. Like I was like heading into it, I'm like, okay, if JSN doesn't do much, like this could win, right? And it looked good, except I remember this specifically because I was, you know, my kids were playing and I was like they're just playing with the toys, so I was like, I'll just do a best ball draft for the hell of it. And I remember at the end, because I was drafting Seahawks Patriots, I had a choice between Rashid Shaheed and Mac Hollins. and I took Shaheed. And Mac Hollins, if you remember, Mac Hollins had a great fantasy performance in the Super Bowl. And if I took Hollins instead of Shaheed, I would have won the playoff best ball.
Wow. You know
Yeah,
what though? I mean,
I
in
finished 11th.
fairness,
I finished
why would you
11th.
take Matt Collins
Yeah,
over?
I finished 11th. But yeah, I know, but still, I did like him a little bit because you know what? It's kind of like what you say in like round 20 for these. Like round 20, draft someone you don't think is going to be on a team come playoff time, right?
Yep.
That's your strategy. For
Yep.
me in playoff best ball, I like sticking with the stack with my last pick, but like picking like an off the wall guy who people aren't going to have in the championship. Like if you have the stack and if you have like some rando who goes off like Collins, then like you can really benefit from it. And for once I didn't follow my own advice. And I took the chalky Shaheed instead of the low owned Hollins. And I finished 11th even with Shaheed and not no Hollins and it sucks, but it was a nice ride, but it's just a shame.
Yeah, the playoff leagues are tough because you want to go chalk, but you're right. Like if you go chalk on everything, well, everybody else is doing that too.
Yeah.
I know, like the FFPC teams that I do, you have to pick one player from every team. So there's no draft. You just pick a player from every team, but you can only pick one. And then I think you leave out like two teams or something like that. So obviously you're leaving out the teams that you think are going to lose and only play one game.
Yeah.
But you're sitting there and you're like, all right, well, I want to have JSN on my team, but everyone's going to pick him. So what if he, like, kind of like what you said, like, what if he gets hurt or, Kenneth Walker has a big game or something like that.
Yeah.
It drives me insane though, because there's never like any right answer.
I know.
It never feels good to say like, oh, I'm going to just leave Jahmyr Gibbs off my team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. I know. But I love playoff best balls drafts so much. Like the correlations on it's like a puzzle, like trying to figure out like the perfect team where you're stacking, and you get serious leverage because there's always like two guys in the draft who don't stack at all, and you're like, oh, you have zero chance of winning. Congratulations,
Yeah.
So it's out of 6, so you just, to I guess break even, you need to advance 16%, 16.6% to round to round 2. I advanced like 38%. Like
wow.
I know it was like I was like, people don't stack. Like it feels like people don't know what they're doing. I'm gonna take. I think we need another receiver. I'm gonna take Trey Tucker. I think he had some explosive games last year. He had a 44-point fantasy week last year.
Yeah, against Washington.
Yeah. So we need another receiver. So I kind of like that upside, and he's technically the top receiver unless you think it's Jalen Nailor who just went.
I don't think so.
No, yeah.
So it doesn't sound good with their sophomore receivers either. With Jack Bash and Dante Thornton.
Yeah, you're up. You're up. By the way, I'm gonna start Algier just in case. But our top players available are Charbonnet, Jennings, Hunter, Algier, Sadiq, Hawkinson, Rogers, Antonio Williams, Boston, Coleman, Mendoza, Tesla, Schultz. Who do you like here?
What do you think about? I mean, Hawkinson this late. Yeah, I feel bad every time I want to take a tight end in one of these drafts with you, but I feel like he fell off last year.
Yeah.
But now we're getting him in the 14th round. It's not like he's like 35 years old. I think he's only 30, actually. Might not even be 30 yet. I could see him having a little bit of a bounce back. Again, though, he's not. I think
he's 28.
28. Okay, yeah. So I think his days of having those monster games are probably behind us. But I could see him having a bunch of games where he has maybe, like I said before, like 50 yards and a touchdown, or maybe a couple of touchdowns and 40 yards or something like that.
I love him here. I mean, he's one of the reasons why I'm waiting on tight ends. I mean, he's a guy who was going round 6 2 years ago, and like what changed? Like last year he sucked, right? But everyone in Minnesota sucked. Jefferson sucked. Addison sucked. Hawkinson sucked. It was because of JJ McCarthy.
And
And
he was coming back off the torn ACL too, right?
right.
Was it an ACL that he had the year before?
Yeah, he tore his ACL in 2024 and sorry, no, 2023, and then he came back halfway through in 2024,
Oh,
and
okay.
he looked okay, and then yeah, 2025 was he was still maybe not even 2 years removed from the torn ACL, so maybe he wasn't 100%, but I think the primary reason why he was so bad was because of McCarthy. And now you have Murray. I mean, I'm not a Murray fan, but he's way better than McCarthy. So I think that everyone in Minnesota gets a bump. I mean, I know you like Justin Jefferson. I imagine for the same reason, because he actually has a viable quarterback now instead of a guy who was dead last in the NFL in completing passes to open receivers downfield. Or
And
maybe I think that might have been Penix. It is one of the two, but still,
I think Penix might have been last, but
yeah.
McCarthy was terrible. And I mean, Max Brosmer was throwing in Brady Cook type games. I mean, he had that one game where he couldn't complete a pass either.
Yeah, that was another gem that we bet against last year. The 26-0 game against Seattle. I was all over Brosmer. All against Brosmer, I should say, not all over Brosmer. I love betting against bad quarterbacks on bad teams.
Yeah.
Not that Minnesota's not technically a bad team, but they're not good enough to carry a Brosmer. They're not like if it's like the Rams or I would say the Niners, maybe, like if a Brosmer or a Brady Cook comes in for like 1 or 2 games, like they could be okay. Like they wouldn't be good, but like they could maybe win the game off like the other players. But like Minnesota just wasn't able to carry him,
No.
And we saw at 26-0, we saw that. So that Seattle didn't even play that well in the game, because I had Seattle minus like 13.5 or something. I forget what the spread was, but they it was a struggle for them to like finish the game. It was pretty tight for most of the game. Like obviously Minnesota didn't score, but Seattle wasn't scoring either.
Yeah.
And then like the floodgates opened at the end. So it eventually got there. Speaking of Penix, he's the top quarterback available, according to my rankings. But I'm hearing Tua might start. Do you have any read on that? Because I had a conversation with Andy last night where he said someone appearing on VSiN said that they love the Falcons to win the Super Bowl, and I'm like,
what?
Yeah, I know, and they bet Tua to win MVP. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if like what drugs they're on, but no, I don't agree.
I think their new regime is banking on drafting a quarterback in 2027. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got two quarterbacks, two left-handed quarterbacks that can't stay healthy and probably won't stay healthy next year. Taking Michael Penix with a top 10 pick was something that was destined to get, Fontenot fired, which it eventually did. Even if you believe in him as a quarterback, the guy's had 3 ACLs. He's had a couple of shoulder injuries. You can't take a quarterback like that in the top 10 of the draft.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Brian Robinson or Bigsby, real quick. I can't decide.
Let's go Brian Robinson.
All right.
After just completely crushing the Falcons, let's take Bijan's back. No, but I mean, he's the clear handcuff in that situation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and Bigsby, we don't know what's going on. Is Will Shipley going to factor in? And then it doesn't matter anyway because Jalen Hurts just runs around all over the place and gets all the short yardage first downs and touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happens. I think if Barkley goes down, I think it's Bigsby early downs and then Shipley on passing downs. But I mean, who really knows? All right, you're gonna be up in one pick, so let's go ADP wise. We have Aaron Rodgers, Mendoza, Bigsby, Stribling, Barner, Tyreek Hill, Tank Dell, Otten, Ridley, Singleton, Braylon Allen, Jeremy Bernard, Tua, Emmett Johnson, and Njoku, Wicks, Cooper Kupp, and Freiermuth and Aaron Rodgers is one.
So I like Stribling unless you feel like we absolutely need to take a third quarterback here.
Oh, I was considering Stribling with my pick, so I'm happy that you like him.
Yeah, I think we've taken him in all three of our best ball drafts.
Yeah.
Again, was 33 overall rich? Yeah, probably. And do I believe Kyle Shanahan, when he said that some teams had him as their top receiver? No, unless it were, maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars did. But
Right.
but I did think he was going in the second round, and we heard he was going in the second round. So now we're going to find out. Was the league right about him? Or is this like a Kyle Williams situation? Because we heard the same stuff about Kyle Williams from Washington State, who ended up being an early pick of the New England Patriots a couple years ago. But I like Stribling. I know some people think that there's a lot of target competition there. I don't really see it that way. Mike Evans isn't quite what he's going to be 33 in August.
Yeah.
I like Pearsall a lot. I know we already have Pearsall on the team, but Pearsall gets hurt a lot too. So I like the potential upside when you're looking at an 18th round pick.
Yeah, I love Stribling. It's the same reasoning as Ibuka last year, and Mike Evans is there. Like Evans has chronic hamstring issues. Pearsall was banged up a lot last year. Christian Kirk gets hurt a lot. George Kittle's already out. McCaffrey's probably going to get hurt. And so who's going to catch the passes? It's going to be Stribling, right? So I definitely like the pick. And with Stribling, the only thing I didn't like is that, if the Niners just took him at 33, I think that's okay. But the thing is, like, they said they were fielding calls all day, or someone was reporting they were fielding calls all day. And so if they're getting calls for the 33 all day, like, why not move down 5 or 6 slots? And it's like, you always hear like fans go, "Oh, they should have traded down." Like, sometimes you just can't trade down. Sometimes people don't want to move up, like teams don't want to move up. But here we knew that teams wanted to move up, and so the Niners still didn't take the deal. I think they should have, but I'm not like I'm not too upset about it. But still, I wasn't a huge fan. But I wasn't a fan of the decision. I like Stribling more as a player, which is
there's always interest in the 33rd pick in the draft. I mean, first pick of the second round, there's always someone who fell, and there are a bunch of teams that want to move up, and a lot of times it's a few different players that fell, and a few different players the teams are trying to move up for. So no, I totally agree with you on that. I thought 33 was a little bit high, and you look back at what that regime has done with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. They drafted Cameron Latu and I think Jake Moody in the same third round. And both of those guys were like 7th round prospects.
Yeah.
And, then we have to listen to all these people go on Twitter and everywhere else and say, like, oh, what do all these Twitter people and people like us know? Well, nobody ever remembers like when we're right,
I know.
Only remember when we're wrong.
I know. Boring pick here. I took Freiermuth. We needed a third tight end. I liked a couple of tight ends more. Like, I like Kobe Parkinson more, but he has the same bye week as Pitts. And I also liked Gesicki more, but he has the same bye week as Hawkinson. So couldn't take those guys. And so with Freiermuth, Johnny Smith is gone. So that should open up more targets for him. So any thoughts on that? I mean, it's 17th round,
Yeah, Ray is really high. The other guy who does NFL Rough Draft, he's really high on Freiermuth this year.
Okay.
He's talking about a bounce back year for him as well. We had to pick somebody, and Freiermuth was available like in one of our rookie drafts, even though he's not a rookie last week. And
real quick, you're up. We have Emmett Johnson, Allen, Parkinson, and Hurst.
Who do we have a quarterback? Is there a quarterback that's?
No, there's not.
Okay, let's take Mike Washington then.
Okay.
Mike Washington was my number 2 overall running back in this draft class, ahead of Jadarian Price.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I really was surprised that he fell to the 4th round.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I think, a clear handcuff to Genti. So now, I mean, it kind of stinks if you have a dynasty team. Washington is tied to Genti for Washington's entire rookie contract. So that's not very appealing. But the fact that, running backs get hurt all the time, the Raiders' offensive line, I think, has a chance to be better than what a lot of people think.
Yeah.
everybody knows about Linderbaum being a massive upgraded center, but Colton Miller missed 13 games last year. Colton Miller's one of the top 10 or 11 left tackles in the NFL. So, they were playing Stone Forsythe, who was pretty much off of waivers at left tackle for most of last season. So you got Colton Miller jumping back in there. And then they also have a lot of players that they've spent second and third round picks on their offensive line in the last couple of years that are there. Like Charles Grant, okay, for the people who follow the draft, and then I'll get off this because I don't want to, bore you guys with third round rookie offensive tackles. But Charles Grant was a small school FCS tackle who got invited to the Senior Bowl, and he got hurt and wasn't able to participate there. But everybody knew, this is a guy who you draft in the third round. Maybe if he falls to the fourth round, you can get him there. And then you're going to have to develop him for a year or two until you see what you have. Mm-hmm. And, I feel like we kind of lose patience with guys like that as fans. We're like, we know some of these guys are going to take a couple years if they're going to work out. And then when they don't play as rookies, we're like, well, that's a bust. So you've got Charles Grant there who's got a shot, DJ Glaze, Jackson Powers Johnson. They drafted Trey Zune this year. Rogers is there from last year. They basically spent a lot of draft capital on day 2 on their offensive line. It's got a chance to be a decent offensive line. And if Genty gets hurt, Mike Washington, I believe, is going to be the primary handcuff. There's not really anyone else there. Samir White's gone.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with your offensive line take on that. Like it's definitely going to it can't be worse, right? And it looks a lot better already. So I think that Genty is a good value for that reason. And I just think the Raider players are going to play better in general because of that. Now they do have a tough schedule, but if even for a 4th place team, they have a tough schedule, but still, I'm on board with you there for sure. We had a couple of questions. The 2 Lost fans doing best ball. Let's go. Got to say, Mike was a bit hurt when you said leftovers are just all right, though. Easily in my top 10 all time. He's saying Mike was a bit hurt. Okay, yeah, he's saying that he was a bit hurt, that you don't like leftovers too much.
Pat, I feel like we would be friends, Pat. You know what? I love all those type of shows, and Leftovers was pretty good. It's just, it was not that long after Lost. I feel like it was only like 6 or 7 years after Lost. And compared to Lost, I felt like it was just all right. But I watched every episode. I used to watch it like right when it was on. It's a good show.
Yeah, I thought the first season was amazing. I thought the dream sequences when he's in the hotel, I thought those are awesome. There were a couple slow moments, but overall, it was a great show. I thought, I liked it a lot. About to make my last pick here, and we'll talk about more. We'll talk about TV shows later. After this draft is complete, my strategy at the end here. It's a Niner a backup. It's either Jordan James or Kalen Black, or if Garendo gets healthy, maybe him too. I'm going to go with Jordan James. I've drafted him less often than Black, and I think you were the one who told me last week that James was looking better than Black in OTAs.
Yeah, well, now I've heard that Black has looked good catching the ball in OTAs. Which,
okay, all right.
I mean, in Indiana, he just did not. He wasn't used in that role. They had Roman Hemby.
You're up. Sorry, you're up.
Yeah, so you're going to hate this pick. We need a third quarterback, though, right? Yeah. Let's go Kirk Cousins, and okay. maybe they really will hold Mendoza off for the first 10 games. I doubt it, but we've got Trey Tucker.
Yeah, stack. There we go. We stack Washington, Tucker, and Cousins. Look at that. That's awesome.
Not good.
It's like that's the saddest stack anyone's ever seen.
But we needed the third quarterback, so
Yeah, I know. If you decided not to go quarterback, I wouldn't have been upset. Like there's no options. Like even when you were up last time, you're like, are there any good quarterbacks? Like, well, Deshaun Watson went, Justin Fields went, Shedeur Sanders went. Do you really want these guys? Like, I'd rather just have Mike Washington.
Yeah.
Arkham asking, should I do Purdy, ATN, Golden, Pittman, and Hawkinson for Burrow, likely in Cup? Shoot, it's 8-player trade. Well, we don't like ATN. We certainly don't like Cup. Um, so
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
mean, for me, so unless you have super deep rosters where you have like this is a 12-team league with 30 players per team, I want the Burrow side because you're getting extra roster spots as
Yeah.
well. I mean, Brock Purdy's okay, but he's not going to win you your league. Joe Burrow might. ETN,
Yeah.
okay, he's more valuable than anybody else on the other side, but he could be one of these guys who just kind of falls off and loses value in the next year or two.
Yeah.
And Golden's nice, but the way the Packers use their wide receivers, like unless this is a dynasty best ball league, that's not very enticing. And Pittman, again, he had 111 targets last year. He's on a new team this year. Aaron Rodgers probably isn't going to be able to support two top 24 wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
And he's getting down toward the end of his career too. I think Pittman is somewhere around 30. So I mean, Cooper Kupp's a wash right there, but I would take the Burrow side just because it's got the best overall player, and we're talking about dynasty. You could pick up dart throws that are young players that have potential to be good at some point during the year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Likely and Hawkinson's a wash, right? So it's really just ignore those guys. It's really Purdy, Etienne, Golden, Pittman for Burrow, and Cup. Now it's you're getting the best player in Burrow. We are anti Etienne, and you don't like Pittman. I don't mind Pittman. I think he's okay. I think that, like I said, I think the short receptions that Metcalf was getting early and Gainwell's getting late, I think those go to Pittman now. And so if this is PPR, I think it's way better for Pittman than in standard. And again, this is dynasty, so Pittman, yeah, like you said, maybe he's close to 30. I'm not sure. He was in the same draft as Higgins, so maybe he's like 28 or so. I'm not sure, but I mean, ATN's young, Burrow's still young. I mean, all these guys are young except for Cup. I'll try if you're getting the Burrow side. Try to get someone better than Cup because the Cup is worthless.
Yeah.
He's not going to give you anything. Try to get someone better than Cup. But
even if it's like a Torrey Horton, or like
right.
Someone who's got a little bit of potential. Yeah. But the reason I don't really like Pittman and Golden and those types in dynasty is just because when you look at these teams that end up usually winning your dynasty leagues, you have people who tank for like 3 years and they build up these teams where it's like I've got one team. This is like with my friends who I used to like work at ESPN with. So they're not like people who follow it as closely as this. But I've got my quarterbacks are Caleb Williams and Drake May. My running backs are Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. My tight ends are Brock Bowers and Tyler Warren. It's a tight end. And then my receivers are like, okay, Neighbors isn't going to have a good year. Right. But I've got like Garrett Wilson and Terry McLaurin. So my point is, someone like Michael Pittman, where like here in a redraft league, he's going to have some value, might help you win. In Dynasty, it's like, good luck beating my juggernaut team that's got Bijan and Gibbs and all these other guys, with those types of players.
I can't believe Bijan and Gibbs on the same team.
Yeah, and that's Caleb Williams and Drake May.
Yeah.
Because you get to keep your players every year,
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Actually reminds me of a I think I told the story before. I don't know if it was to you though. But my friend's a doctor, and it's just stop me if I told you the story before. My friend's a doctor, and he's a football fan, but he's never played fantasy before last year. And he's like, "Well, can you help me out?" I'm like, "Sure." We've been friends for a long time, and so I sat on the phone with him as he was doing a draft, and it's like who's I read off top players available. He was taking them, and I don't know what was going on in this draft, but this is last year. To keep in mind. He's like 5th round. He's like, okay, 5th round's coming on. Let me read you some names. And he's like Ashton Genty and like Ashton Genty, how's he still there? And so he ended up having this like insane team. He had Drake May, he had all these great running backs and great receivers. The one position was
Wow.
like weak was tight end. I'm like, what is like who's being drafted in these leagues? Like, I don't understand. And he ended up winning very easily. He texted me, he's like, thanks for the help. I'm like, you could have just went down my rankings. You didn't need my help on the phone, like the way these guys are drafting. And like, this is a league of doctors, so I don't know what they're buying. There must have been a lot. So
Yeah.
it just goes to show that maybe the medical people aren't the best fantasy players. I don't know.
No, too much time in surgery or something like that, I
Yeah,
guess.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. It was wild. So I'll have to get him to send the team. The team he read me off, it was insane. I was like, I can't believe this is like a 12-man league too. I was like, I can't believe like what is happening here. Anyway, we had a question from Stone Papa Smurf. What are your favorite plays for offensive and defensive rookie of the year? I'm looking at Sonny Styles plus 750 for defensive rookie of the year. Do you have any opinion on this? I don't know if you've seen the odds. We can look at our team in a second, but since Stone Papa Smurf asked, we could pull it up. Yeah, I can't find NFL ever. So let's get rid of all this. Okay, so we have awards, and let's start with Offensive Player of the Year, and wait, was it offensive rookie? Rookie of the year. Sorry.
I think it was offensive
Yeah.
rookie and defensive rookie of the year.
Offensive rookie of the year. So people are listening. I'll read it off. Jeremiah Love plus 320, Mendoza 4-1, Tate plus 550, Tyson 6-1, Jadarian Price plus 750, Mekhi Lemon plus 950. And then we have a huge gap. You have Kenyon Sadiq 25-1, Carson Beck 28-1, Antonio Williams is 28, Concepcion's 30, Boston 35, Cooper 35, Stowers 50, Simpson 50, Jeremy Bernard 55, Nick Singleton 60, Coleman 60, Emmett Johnson 60, Hurts 60, Brazel 60, Chris Bell 60, Stribling 60, Claiborne 60. We have a few more here. I think Aller 75. All these are 75. Aller, Branch, Jacoby Lane, Brendan Thompson. All these are 80. Katron Allen, Skylar Bell, Malachi Fields, Caleb Douglas, Kalen Black, Elijah Surratt. All these are 100. Max Clare, Delp, Heidenreich, Klubnik, which, you know, if he starts, maybe take a shot there. Mike Washington, and then we have some severe long shots here. No one really stands out. But Bryce Lance, I guess 150-1. We drafted him before. Anyone stand out to you for offensive rookie of the year?
Well, there are a bunch of guys that are standing out as having absolutely no chance. I mean, you're never really going to see a tight end win offensive rookie of the year.
Right.
You know, most of the time it's going to be a quarterback or a running back. Now this year is a little bit unique because the Raiders are at least saying that, you know, Mendoza's not going to play a lot to begin. And that's like something that Tom Brady's been very outspoken about. You know, he didn't play his first year because he was a 6th round pick.
Right.
But, you know, he talks all the time about how he doesn't think that rookie quarterbacks are given enough time to acclimate to the NFL. And, you know, they want to play Kirk Cousins. So, I mean, Jeremiah Love jumps off the page, but, you know, if he were to get hurt, then Jadarian Price makes a lot of sense. Beyond that, well, I really don't like Carson Beck, but it could be one of those deals where I guess if Jeremiah Love gets hurt and Jadarian Price doesn't start for half the season, you could see like, okay, Carson Beck was okay, so he kind of wins it by default. But, you know, there's not, it'd be hard to bet against Jeremiah Love or Jadarian Price for me.
I'll throw a couple of names at you. Jordan Tyson is 6-1. I think he's more explosiveness than Carnell Tate, so he projects more as a receiver one. And you have Chris Olave dealing with blood clots right now. Like, we don't know how severe that situation will be for the season, and also he has a concussion history. So if he misses time for whatever reason, like Jordan Tyson is going to be the receiver one. And like I said, he's explosive. And I like the Saints this year. I think Tyler Shuck could have a really good year. You know, if Tyson's the top receiver there, then I think that if the Saints win the division, I think Tyson could have a good chance to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Um, and I have a long shot, which is Deshaun Stribling is 60 to 1 for the same reasons why we've been drafting him is because Evans could suffer the hamstrings, which we've seen every year. Pearsall last year got hurt multiple times. We have Christian Kirk always gets hurt. Kittle already hurt, and McCaffrey almost certainly will be hurt, just based on history and whatnot. And Stribling just could be the top receiver there by default. And the Niners said they love his blocking, which is, obviously you don't score fantasy points for blocking, but like the fact that they love his blocking means that he's going to be on the field because they really value that out of the receivers. So I think Stribling's mispriced at 60 to 1. I'm not saying that Leaky should be the favorite, but I think that he should be like 20 to 1 or something. And so I just think there's a lot of value with him.
Yeah. And I mean, if the NFL is right about him, if he was someone who really was going to go in the top 40, if the 49ers didn't take him 33 overall, then, I think we're all still a little bit lower on him than where we should be. So that makes sense. And Tyson, you're absolutely right. The only thing Tyson was my top ranked receiver in the draft. He reminds me a lot of Puka Nacua in that his issue was also that durability thing, right? Like he just has to stay healthy. If he could stay on the field, he could have a really big year, especially in that offense running that number of plays with Kellen Moore.
Yeah, I don't know what's that. It's not letting me click. But anyway, DraftKings having some issues today, as you can see. So I like those two. If Chris Bell were healthy, I'd be all over that, but he's not. So that's a tough one. Jonah Coleman in Denver, 60 to 1. I don't know if I bet it, but I like him as a runner. I think he's a better runner. He's not as athletic as RJ Harvey, but he's a better runner than RJ Harvey, or at least he projects to be. And so if he takes the job, he could do well. But the problem there is that if that happens, it could be late in the year, and it might be too late for that. So that's why I wouldn't bet it.
It depends when J.K. Dobbins gets hurt, right?
Yeah, it's a shame, but we joke about it, but it always happens. It really sucks. Last guy I'd like to mention is Zachariah Branch at 75 to 1. He's a spark plug. He could go the distance anytime he touches the ball. He really doesn't have much competition beyond London. Like there's London, and then there's no one else. Like they have what, Dotson. It's like these guys are scrubs, right? Yeah. And Branch could emerge as the receiver too. And if that guy on VSiN was right, and Atlanta does well this year, then Branch might be a factor. So I think 75 to 1. I think that he's another misprice. I think he should be like 35 to 1. So some value. But I don't know. I don't know if I bet it, but I think it's worth a small wager, maybe. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be tough with the volume there because London's going to get a lot of volume in that passing game.
And Pitts too, yeah.
And Pitts is there, and then remember Bijan Robinson's going to get a ton of volume in the passing game too. I like Zachariah Branch a lot. I just wonder if he's someone who's going to be able to have fantasy value outside of like a best ball league or like big time production until they get their real quarterback, who I again don't think is on their roster yet. That's
for sure. Let's go to defensive. Ruben Bain is the favorite, plus 470. Well, he's tied with David Bailey to be the favorite, plus 475, which is very strange because considering how far apart they were. Arvell Reese is 7-1. Sonny Styles is plus 750. Mansour Delane and Caleb Downs are plus 850. Akeem Mesidor 13-1. CJ Allen 20-1. Malachi Lawrence, Dylan Thieneman are also 20-1. Jacob Rodriguez 22-1. Keldrick Falk 28-1. D'Angelo Pons 35, and so is Cassius Howell. At 40-1, we have TJ Parker and Peter Woods. At 50-1, we have Emmanuel McNeil Warren, Anthony Hill Jr., Colton Hood. At 60-1, we have Jake Galladay, Caleb Banks, Zion Young, R. Mason Thomas, Chris Johnson, Gabe Yakus. At 75-1, we have Jermod McCoy, Stukes, Romello Height, Avion Terrell, and then Josiah Trotter 80-1, along with Cisse and Caden McDonald. And the 100-1 guys, there are a few of them real quick, and then I won't go beyond that. We have AJ Halsey, Igbenison, Harold Perkins, Derek Moore, Wheatley, Lewin, Abney, Joshua Joseph, Bud Clark, Danny Dennis Sutton, Bocher, Overton, Keontae Scott. So a lot of names here. Does anyone stand out to you here for Defensive Rookie of the Year?
Yeah. So first, just to kind of answer the question about Sonny Styles, I I don't really like Sonny Styles in terms of being a defensive rookie of the year. I think it's a stats award, and I like the edge rushers. And I mean, so if you're looking at like my favorite, I guess would be David Bailey. If I wanted to throw like a Hail Mary out there, I really like Joshua Josephs too. I think it was 10,000 plus 10,000 down there. But I've heard great things about him so far. Now, again, look, I'm not gonna play both sides of the minicamp coin. This is an edge rusher in minicamp, so take that for what it's worth. But he was someone who I thought was going to go a lot higher than where he went in the fourth round. I thought he could be a second round pick. I like him as well. And then I guess a couple of these safeties I think have a chance if they create a lot of turnovers. Like I could see someone like Bud Clark again as a long shot. This is a guy who just is a turnover magnet. So if he somehow has 5 interceptions next year, I could see it being someone like Bud Clark as well. But yeah, I don't like Styles at those odds. I like David Bailey as my favorite. I like TJ Parker, and I like my long shots would be Josephs and Bud Clark.
Okay, yeah, I mean, well, we saw Swassenger win last year, so I think that linebacker, might be just looking at that for the potential win. So yeah, I could see Styles. I thought he'd be priced higher than that. Again, I'm kind of perplexed by Bain being the same price as Bailey, but a guy who stands out to me, if you want to go the linebacker route, like CJ Allen, I just think that he's just a very instinctive linebacker and kind of reminds me a little bit of Swassenger, and like he's he's on the Colts, who had just a big hole at linebacker, so there's really no competition for him there, and I think that he could start right away, and he's going to be behind Buckner, like getting protection from him. So I think you could accumulate a lot of tackles and stuff like that, and like you don't have to be on a good team to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. We just saw that with Swassenger, like he was on a horrible team. Yeah, I think Allen at 20-1 is worth a shot. What are your thoughts on him?
I like CJ Allen. It was a really good linebacker rookie class this year. I think I have like a bias against the tackle stat going back to my ESPN days.
Yeah.
Because I look at some of the statistics, like the official statistics, that were just like totally wrong. Like they like, okay, maybe CJ Allen wouldn't be a good example because Georgia was, packed with talent. But some of these teams, they would have like one good defensive prospect at linebacker. The guy would be on the other side of the field and they'd be like, tackle, you got that tackle. Like he didn't tackle him. I mean, so you end up like, you hear like media people on ESPN and NFL Network talking about how some of these guys had, this guy had 400 tackles in his college career. And it's like, well, some like 20-year-old sitting in a press box was like, yeah, I'm going to give him a tackle because he's their big player.
That's how they do it?
Like literally some of these guys get tackles while they're standing on the sideline. I'm not joking about that. So college basketball is even worse, by the way. They take the big college basketball players and be like, that was a block and a rebound, but nobody blocked the ball. Or like the ball bounced out of bounds, so it should be a team rebound. Nope, that big power forward got credit for that rebound. Then nobody, at the end of the day, like especially this is before the gambling era, nobody's looking and saying like, oh no, he didn't have 8 rebounds, he only had 5. But,
that far off. With gambling now, that's crazy. That someone could impact things very easily.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Okay, well, so Papa Smurf, hopefully you got some good betting angles there. Well, I'll have some bets on these guys too later on. Let's go back to our draft real fast and let's look at our team real quickly. Our running backs are pretty strong. We have Taylor, Hampton, Tootin, Irving, and then a couple guys at the end here with Brian Robinson Jr., Mike Washington, and Jordan James. I think our running backs are super strong. Receivers are Emeka Ibuka, Garrett Wilson. We'll see what happens with Geno Smith, but still, like I said, with Klubnik, he's going to lock in on the top guy. We have Pearsall, Myers, Shaheed, Tucker, and Stribling. I think some high upside guys mixed in with the two guys at the top. Quarterbacks are outside of Hurts, a little weak. We have Hurts and then Stroud and then Cousins, but Hurts just might be in the lineup each week. So we're just hoping for that. Tight ends, we took Kyle Pitts and then a couple good ones at the end with Hawkinson and Frymouth. So what are your thoughts on this? Can this win the $1 million? What do you think?
Hey, you never know. You never know what's going to happen in the last couple of weeks of the season. But no, I agree with you. I think our running backs are super strong. Receiver, we have a lot of guys that are probably safe bets to hit the lineup on a weekly basis. Ibuka and Wilson are the volume guys. And then you've got some of the kind of big play threats, but we have a lot of them. So if, two of them hit the lineup, one or two of them per week, we're good. And then quarterback's a little bit weak. I agree. And then I think it goes back to the tight end debate. So if Kyle Pitts is one of those top 4 or 5 or 6 tight ends this year, that usually ends up being a difference maker, then I think that's a big advantage. If he's one of these guys who's kind of like absent, if he goes back to one of these guys that like has 3 targets a game and then, has a big game every 5 or 6 weeks, then, tight end's nothing special either, I guess, on our team. So we'll see on that.
Yeah. You brought the tight ends, and I wanted to look at them, like the ones that were drafted late. But by the way, Harold Fannin has really fallen. I know he's dealing with an injury right now, but he was going like 6th round before. He's dropped a lot. I don't know if there's any news on him. He didn't walk with the limp. So
such good June news right there. I know. Not walking with a limp.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so I said round 11 through 16, or maybe I said 12, but like there were a bunch of tight ends that went round 11. So we had Likely, Kincaid, Goddard, Ferguson, and Andrews. I love Goddard this year. Goddard usually is not great because Hurts can only lock in on 2 guys. So it was either Brown or Smith. But now Brown is gone. And in the past, whenever Brown or Smith has been out of the lineup, you saw Goddard go insane. Like he has some huge games. And so now I think we're going to get this all year. Like I'm trying to draft Goddard round 10, 11. Now I see he's going like 11:05. That's pretty cool. So I would love to get him around 11. So he's my favorite here. We have Strange, who is just a reliable weapon for Lawrence, and a Chiggy Bang Bang Okonkwo at 12-12. I like him a lot. I mean, Zach Ertz was productive, and he's 1 million years old. So Chiggy is just a way more athletic tight end. So I think he could have some big games, but still, I would rather have Goddard than anyone here. We have Juwan Johnson at 13-11. I think he had some big games last year, I believe. He had we had a 15-15, a 19, a 12, a 12. Nothing like insane, but he was like pretty steady. So I don't mind him in round 13. We drafted Hawkinson. Henry might regress because of Brown, but still, like Drake May loves starting to him, so I don't mind him at round 14. You have Schultz is okay. Dulcich, he was going around 19 a couple months ago. I like Helm a lot. He's so athletic, and I just feel like Cam Ward's just going to lean on him a lot. Like last year it was Helm and Okonkwo, and now it's just Helm. And so I think he's a steal. So he's another reason why I like to wait. Barner last year. Barner had some huge games, right? He had a 24 here. He had a 17, 15 here, another 15. Like he had some big games. Like he was inconsistent, but he had some big games. The one concern I have is like Kubiak's not there anymore, so we don't know how that's going to shake out. But still, round 16 is not bad. We have Njoku, Otten. They're okay. Ferguson I like a lot. I think he has a lot of upside.
Yeah.
Ingram, not so much. Fryermuth, I think is okay. Parkinson's fine. Theo Johnson, not so much anymore with Likely there. And then a couple guys here. Tungus, if you think that Kittle's going to miss more time than people think, then Tungus could be really good. But like, is anyone, as far as like tight ends are concerned here, who do you like? What are you thinking here with the depth here? And does anyone stand out to you as just being a really good value?
Yeah, so I feel like we're almost always in lockstep on these drafts, which is great. I feel like the tight end thing is that's the one area where we differ a little bit.
Okay.
And I guess so. Like when we look at these guys, like I do like Goddard a lot. I think you're right about him. But I think that he's also the type of tight end where like you look at some of his touchdowns last year, and it was like, okay, they got the ball at the 1 yard line. Is it going to be the tush push, and then Jalen Hurts would like flip it to Dallas Goedert instead of, and you're absolutely right. Anytime one of those two receivers missed time, he would end up picking up the extra targets. I think as the year goes on, though, Mekhi Lemon could be more and more involved, and so I still think that Goddard is going to be someone who, like, when you play him, well, I guess you don't have to play him, but like when he's hitting your lineup, you're kind of hoping that he catches a touchdown and maybe he has like 60 or 70 yards.
Yeah.
Kincaid, I know that he's got the potential, but he's always hurt. Dalton first aid, right? Isaiah Likely, I know he's in a new situation there, but we don't know what's going on there with neighbors. And, what I'm basically saying is, I think that the floor for a lot of these guys is high, but I think that the ceiling is also low. Mm-hmm. And I just think that, like, if you have to finish with the highest score in whatever week 17, I don't think that many of these guys are going to be able to score 25, 30 points. Okay. And I know that's asking a lot of even the top tight ends, but I think even stretching down to like Kyle Pitts and maybe Harold Fannin, that might be possible. They might be capable of that. Like Ferguson here, like if those two receivers are healthy, Ferguson's not going to do anything. Like you could see his big games were all when CeeDee Lamb was hurt. Exactly. Barner had some big games last year, but now you've got Elijah Arroyo, who was there last year, but he was a rookie tight end. Again, top 40 pick, I believe. The one guy who really stands out to me here, who I love actually, is Terrence Ferguson. I've been really low on Devontae Adams this year. I've been really low on Devontae Adams the last couple of years. He had a lot of touchdowns last year, but he didn't do much in terms of actually receiving and catches, receptions, and yards. Ferguson is someone who was a rookie last year, second round pick, super athletic, and the Rams they famously ease these tight ends into their lineup. I've already read that they don't expect Max Clare to be much of a part of the offense this year. Ferguson's the guy who I could see really breaking out, and he could potentially be the number 2 option in that passing game if everything breaks right. So he's the one guy here who I could see kind of coming out of nowhere. And then the other one I guess would be, like I mentioned, Elijah Arroyo, who didn't even get drafted, I don't believe.
Yeah,
someone late. But like Gesicki and Parkinson and some of these guys, they're just your typical okay, maybe you'll have 2 catches and I hope one of them's a touchdown type guys.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely fair. I mean, I wouldn't say that the guys at the end here have the upside. I just think that there are a decent number of guys who do have the upside. Even Hawkinson, we took him. He, as I said, he used to be a 6th or 7th round pick in fantasy, and now he's round 14 just because McCarthy was terrible last year. So he's another guy I think that just could really dominate. And I just think that there are enough outs here where you can take 2 guys maybe around 11 and then round 13 or 14, and you could get you're not going to get Loveland type stats or Bowers type stats, but you're going to have some really good games out of them, I think. So that, I mean, that's how I'm approaching it. But it's and if you, I don't know, whenever I take a tight end early, I just feel like my roster just doesn't look good to me. I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe
I
it's just
get
me.
that.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head, do you happen to know who the tight end was on the winning team last year? Just out of curiosity. It's okay if you don't.
I don't. Do you?
No, oh, no, I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know. I'm just wondering if, like, because if you've got like a Trey McBride or someone like that who happens to score 30 points or 35 points in your tight end spot in week 17, I just wonder how much that factors into like with the number of teams that actually make it to the championship round.
I'm looking at McBride was the winning tight end last year, according
Okay.
to on DraftKings at least. Which makes sense. Like McBride was insane last year, and he was going later than than some of the other tight ends. So it was still early. But for me, I don't know. Maybe this will change. But for me this year, it just seems like the depth at running back and receiver is worse than it was last year. And
Mm-hmm.
so I sometimes took McBride last year, but this year I feel like the depth at the bottom is like all tight end. And there's really there's not many running backs and receivers that like for example, last year I was drafting the hell out of Alec Pierce. Like he was in like 60% of my team.
I
So like
remember that.
yeah,
Good
he was.
call.
Thanks. Yeah, he was like round 15 to 16. I'm like, this guy's going way too late.
Yep.
For me this year, like I don't love anyone late. Like I like some guys. Like I like Stribling. I like Ayuk. Maybe we don't know what's gonna happen with him, but like he has a chance. Um, I'm just like looking at these players, and like nothing really stands out to me. I just can't like get a good read on any of these guys. Like maybe Malachi Fields, but like he's only a third round rookie. Um, Maybe one of the Penn State running backs does something, but they're in heavy committees. Branch, we discussed him for the offensive rookie of the year. He's someone I'm a little interested in, but like not. So he's going like same round as Alec Pierce was last year. Like
Yeah.
I love Pierce way more than Branch.
Yeah.
People are hyping up Adonai Mitchell, but that's like a terrible quarterbacking situation.
Yeah.
Tesla, I don't mind. I like him, but again, I like Pierce more than Tesla. Does anyone like running back receiver here, like round 14, 15, 16, 17, 18? Does anything stand out to you? Like, oh, I love this guy. I'm pretty confident that he's going to be a potential, like round 7 value for me.
No, I think you and I love the clear handcuff running backs.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of those types late. Like Ray Davis is going a lot later than he normally does. Not here. I mean, what I mean is in terms of where he went the last few years.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't mind him. I mentioned Mike Washington. We drafted Mike Washington. So there are a couple of these handcuff running backs that I don't mind. But aside from that, no, I think you're right. I think there's less depth, at least right now. Maybe that'll change once we get into camp and we get a clearer picture of some of these depth charts. And then, the other part of this is Trey McBride wasn't even Trey McBride going into his second season.
Yeah.
So perhaps this year, Terrence Ferguson or Elijah Arroyo is the next Trey McBride. It doesn't even have to be the next Trey McBride. One of those two guys could be, they could take a huge leap forward this year. Even Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor's situation is a little bit crowded, and they've got Geno Smith there, not Matthew Stafford or that Seahawks infrastructure. But I could see Ferguson or Arroyo or one of those types kind of jumping into that top tier.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Actually, sorry.
That's
right. This winning team is from 2024.
Okay.
So because I was looking at the roster and like I saw the running backs are Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson, David Montgomery, Raheem Mostert. I was like Mostert, Bucky Irving, and Justice Hill. I'm like, I glossed over Mostert for a second. I'm like, how do you get Henry, Bijan, and Bucky? It seems very strange. And his receivers were Higgins, Adams, Brian Thomas Jr., Gabe Davis. I'm like Brian Thomas Jr. Like, yeah, these are all guys from 2024.
Yeah, Gabe
So
Davis, the bill collector. He
yeah,
shows up once a month.
that's right. That's right. Um, yeah, let me. I don't know. I'm gonna try to find it. I'm not sure, but
No, it's not a big deal. I was just curious. Just, I guess, because when I play my FFPC leagues, and those are all tight end premium leagues too, so you're getting a point and a half per reception. But I always look at it as like, all right, I need to try to have a tight end that's going to score 25 or 30 points in those last couple weeks when it's a big tournament. But at running back, I might be able to get lucky. I might be able to get Blake Corum or you name them, right? Any one of these handcuff running backs that have a high potential. And if I get lucky with injuries, I could slot that guy into my running back 2 slot, and that guy could get me 20 points just based off of opportunity.
yeah, I have the winning best ball team from Underdog, not
Okay.
DK, but so his quarterbacks are Brock Purdy, Bryce Young, and Tyler Shuck. Purdy missed half the year, so it's kind of crazy that he won because his other
Wow.
quarterbacks are Young and Shuck. And Young didn't play when Purdy was out, right? So it was Young the whole time, which is kind of
Wow.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
insane. I don't know how he won that way. It says here he took a hero running back, so he only took Derrick Henry,
Okay.
and then they say 5 additional running backs much later, so they don't say who.
Okay.
Receivers were the top receivers were Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. That helped a lot, and the Tedero McMillan, and then the tight ends, which you were asking for. He only took 2 tight ends. George
Okay.
Kittle in round 5, which again he was hurt for a while, and then Jawan Johnson, who he carried him. I guess we obviously had to because he only had 2 tight ends. He carried him when Kittle was out. When Kittle came back, he was great, but still,
Yeah.
he was out. So I guess most of his production was from Jawan Johnson for half the year. So
And then Kittle was tight end 2 by points per game. So
yeah,
the time he was playing.
yeah, he was awesome when he came back. So I mean, I assume that won him in the playoffs. I guess he had some huge games in the playoffs. So all right, that's interesting. So I don't know. I wish we knew who the other running backs were. They just don't say, but still.
Well, Henry had that big game against the Packers. I think.
Yeah, I remember we were live betting it. We were laddering it. That was awesome. We hit the whole ladder. It was like the top rung was like 12-1 or something. We hit that bet. So
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a nice one. Yeah, we did so well with the live betting last year. It was crazy. Just like ladder, like bet the floor and then go up a couple of rungs on the ladder, and it's like Trevor Lawrence against the Jets. He hit the entire ladder. Derrick Henry. I didn't play it, but Evan, who does the show with me on Thursdays during the year, he laddered Drake May sacks in the Super Bowl, which is pretty crazy. Yeah,
That's
I know.
Smart.
And I'm an idiot because I told him about it. I'm like, hey, why don't you ladder sacks in the Super Bowl? And he did it, and I forgot to do it. So I was kicking myself the whole time. Like it was like sack. I'm like, oh my god, like I was like, I screwed this one up. But anyway, okay, so we have I don't know if you're pressed for time or anything. We're approaching 2 hours.
No, good.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I was gonna ask you about some. We talked about some TV shows last time, so we could spend like 10-15 minutes on that maybe, and then call it a night. But you told me before we started the show that you were watching From, which is I love the show. It's same guys from Lost who made it. You had Michael from Lost. He's the main character on the show, and it's like I described it as like a creepy Lost. It's the same sort of deal. We have like a bunch of people together and they can't leave. And then there are just like circumstances around them that are threatening them. Like on Lost, you had the black smoke monster. You had like the polar bear. You had, like the resource issues to start. You had, other things as well. The others, obviously. And then here on From, you have like weird, creepy, I'll call them ghouls, I guess, who come out of the woods at night and just threaten to eat people. And not a spoiler, by the way, it's like the opening scene.
No.
And there's other things too, like yeah, this year we have just a creepy guy with a yellow coat who's kind of like a shapeshifter of sorts. And then we had like these dolls that they found in the lake, which are like super insanely creepy. So it's an awesome show. I think I love watching it. um it feels like the one criticism I have of it is that it feels like they're just going in a million directions sometimes, and it almost feels like you forget where they're going. Like for example, a character would be like, "I have to check out this lake," and then they're like, "Oh, I'm going to go to the lake now," and then someone comes up to them like, "Hey, someone's having an issue. We got to help them," and then like they forget about the lake for like 3 episodes, and then they go back to the lake, and it just feels like it's like tangled web. That's like it just have to it's like a knot you're trying to untangle, and like eventually you get to the part that you do it, but you have to like go to the other spot first. And I don't hate it. I'm just like, it's a little, sometimes it's a little frustrating because I'm like, I really want to see this lake, but like they're just not going to it for like 3 episodes. That's the only thing I sort of don't like about it, but I love the show. Otherwise, I think it's phenomenal. But you're watching season 4 now, so I mean, you tell me what you think.
Yeah, so I love it too. I watched the first 3 seasons, and then I don't have MGM Plus, so I get like the free 7-day trial
Hmm.
on my Roku. And I think I watched the first 3 seasons a couple years ago um, in 7 days. And then I've
Nice.
been waiting until the week before the finale of season 4, which is this week.
Hmm.
So I'm almost all the way caught up. But I love the show too for the same reasons you said. It really is like a creepy Lost. And you brought up the character development being off last time too. So like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not an expert on TV shows, or like I don't know what I'm talking about with TV shows. But you're right about the character development. A lot of these characters, like, they don't really. It's not like Lost, where they have these like 25 episode seasons. They're trying to cram everything into 10 episodes, and the characters haven't shown as much development.
Yeah.
And then like there's one guy who's got like Parkinson's, and then I'm like sitting there in episode 7 of this season. I'm like, did his Parkinson's just go away this season? I haven't seen anything
Right.
with that. And then he's like, well, wait, my hand. And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
okay, there it is.
yeah,
But
yeah. We forgot about it.
yeah, but you're right, and they get pulled in all these different directions. They're trying to cram it all into 10
Yeah.
episodes, so it gets a little bit confusing sometimes.
It's,
Mine,
oh man, I wish it was, 26 episodes like Lost was, and like seasons 2 and 3, there were a couple of slow episodes, like in season 3, you obviously had Nikki and Paulo, like the infamous like the
yeah,
worst episode of Lost. You had some stinkers, but overall, the more episodes you got, the better character development you got. Like every episode was like, you had a Sun episode, you had a Jin episode. Well, usually you intertwine, but you had like a Locke episode, then a Charlie episode, and like it was awesome. And like you could, if the From was like that, like not even 26 episodes, it was like 16 or 18. You could probably have each character getting their own backstory. Like
yep,
I'd like to see where they were before they came to this village where they can't leave.
yeah,
And you did get that from like one character or two, maybe two, but like you didn't really get that. And so I would love to see like their past life and kind of like intertwine with their motivations for that episode, which you always got from Lost. And that was phenomenal. I loved how they did that. They just sacrifice it by having 10 episodes, and in exchange for that you get like high paced stuff. Like it feels like each episode is going like a million miles an hour, like
mhm,
I said that, yeah, they get pulled in different directions. It always feels like super fast pace, like something's always happening, and it's exciting, and I can't stop
mhm.
watching it for that reason. And Pat says, Mike from the Red Letter Media. I love Red Letter Media. Loves From, but Jay says he can't watch it after feeling let down by Lost not answering questions. That really frustrates me. Like whenever people say Lost didn't answer questions, I'm like, which questions didn't answer? I can answer any questions you have like, from Lost. Like really, like people always say that. I'm like, they answer pretty much everything. I
Yep,
don't know. I feel like a lot of people weren't paying attention. I think. I don't know.
yeah. No, I agree with you on that. I think they did too. And you know, I've heard all kinds of theories about the light was time and tied it all together. And it's all foggy to me now because it's been about
You mean
probably
the light? You mean
20
the light from the
years.
cave? You mean the light from the cave?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was they didn't directly answer it, but when the light was extinguished when the Man in Black took over, and I thought that was kind of like the source of the afterlife, like heaven, and the Man in Black, he didn't want people going to heaven, and so that was kind of like the reason why at the end when you had the flash sideways when they defeated the Man in Black, they were able to like all meet together and in that church, and like they were able to ascend to heaven. And the Man in Black didn't want that to happen. Didn't really say why. I guess he just didn't like humanity, just based on how he was brought up in that one episode where they introduced him as a kid. But that's how I took it. They didn't specifically say it, but I thought they kind of like referenced that.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the greatest endings. I mean, I'm Michael. One of my firstborn son's name is Jack. I mean, I love the show.
That's awesome.
Yeah. One thing I'll say about From though, I was surprised by this. So I mentioned I watched the first 3 seasons together, and now I'm watching season 4, and I like season 4, but I just finished watching Widow's Bay, and I like From just a little bit less than I used to after watching Widow's Bay. This show it's like the same type of thing, but it's also mostly a comedy, which for whatever reason I just think is great.
Yeah. You told me about that 2 weeks ago when we last spoke, and I was so excited. I like loaded up like Apple TV on my PS4 that I have upstairs, and I was like, "Oh, your subscription ran out. Renew for $12.99 a month." I'm like, "Ah, oh, come on." Like we already like subscribed to like so many things. Like it's so annoying, these like all these subscription services.
Absolutely.
I'll have to get it eventually because I mean, you talked it up, and it sounds like it's up my alley. And there are actually a couple of other things I wanted to watch on Apple TV too. So I'll probably get it, and my wife will probably yell at me because like, how many things do we need? I already get like
it through.
what?
The show it's just got all these like one line, like the girl's like talking to a guy who's like passed out, and she's like, "I'm talking to him. I hear that it helps." And the guy's like, "I think that's just for people who are in comas." And just like without missing a beat, she's just like, "All right, well then I'll just go back to the station where I can't bother anybody." Like, so you just have all these like little one-liners thrown into this like mystery suspense show. I don't know. It's interesting. By the way, this comment is also hilarious.
Yeah. Twin Peaks, David Bowie's a tea kettle. Yeah. That's so random. I tell people on that, like, yeah, David Bowie turns into a tea kettle. Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I sometimes reference TV shows, like talking to people. Like I was in Baltimore for a wedding a few years ago, and and we were just like sitting outside, outside of a pizza place or something. And I was like, oh, let's go to Amsterdam to get some drugs and not get in trouble for it. And so I was like, oh, you can get drugs anywhere. I'm like, no, but you can't get in trouble for it in Amsterdam. And or no, I said sorry, Amsterdam. And the guy's like, there's no place like that here. I'm like, oh, come on, you never watched The Wire? Like, like, come on. It's one of the most famous shows ever. So, do you watch that? I assume.
I've seen the. I didn't watch like all of. Weren't there like 100 billion episodes of that show? I feel like there were a lot of episodes of that show. I haven't seen all of them.
Okay, yeah, I watched them all like back to back. I kind of binge watched it pretty quickly. One of my favorite things is the cop was like, he sees a guy wearing a backward baseball cap, and he's like, yo, where'd you get that backward baseball cap? When I go to the store, all the bills are in front. And the guy's like, oh, I just turned it backward.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. It's so good. Red Letter Media love that also. The Widow's Bay. Yeah. I've recently been watching like a lot of like indie movies, like low budget movies that are, I don't know, because like for some reason YouTube is just they're recommending it to me. Like just I don't know why. And I see the description, I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. Let me watch the movie. And like I saw a couple of good ones. Like one had Sydney Sweeney in it, and it's called The Voyeurs, and it was about like the description like really dragged me in. It was like a young couple moves into an apartment and spies on their neighbors. Little do they know this, the neighbors are actually spying on them. And that movie, it was like, yeah, they Sydney Sweeney and her boyfriend move into an apartment, and they spy on a couple. They see them like having sex, like, and so they're just watching. But for some reason, they get like obsessed with them, and you think like this movie's going like one way. It's gonna be like oh, gotcha, a type of thing. But it gets so dark at the end. It gets really dark. It's pretty crazy. And then there's one movie about like I like the time loop movies too, and it's called uh I'll have to find it, but I forget what it's called. But anyway, so it's about these people have a dinner party, and like everything goes dark, and like they turn on the lights, and like the whole neighborhood's dark except for this one house. And so they're like, oh, it's what's going on with that? And then like they have no service, they have like no cell phone service or anything. And so coherence, it was called coherence. And so like two of the guys are like, oh, because there's like a meteor passing overhead, and like one of the guys is like, oh, my brother is a scientist. He told me to call him if anything goes weird. And so they both leave, and then they come back like a few minutes later, and they're like, I don't understand what happened. And they're like, what do you mean? It's like, that was our house over there, the one with the light. And they're like, what are you talking about? And like these guys are like, you can see like one has a cut on his face, but and like they keep asking him about it, and then they won't answer it. Like it turns out that like they're not the same people that came in. They're people from that house. Like there's like two different like parallel universes that like collided, and like there's like different people, and it gets even crazier. Like it's like I was so into it that like I watched like breakdowns of the movie, and like they even have like like small things in conversation at the beginning of the movie that like hint at like just like different parallel universes like going on. So I coherence is I like that a lot. Like I was like, yeah, it was like a movie I really like. I like TV shows more, but stuff like that I'll definitely watch. So
I'll have to check that one out. That sounds interesting.
yeah, and you watched Jury Duty, as you told
I
me.
did, yeah. You recommended Jury Duty, so
Yeah.
I checked that out. That was pretty fun. I liked I mentioned to you before the show. I like there's the guy, the defense attorney is trying to show like a like an animation of what happened.
Yeah.
And things just like flickering. I don't know how anybody kept a straight face during that.
That's they I think the guy said, he's like, you're all great actors. Like that's really impressive that they no one lost it. I would have just started laughing so hard.
Yeah.
I love how the judge interacted with the who was the actor in that. I'm so bad with
James Marsden, right?
James Marsden. Yeah. James Morrison's like, he's like, oh, I have to go to an acting thing. And the guy's like, oh, you're an actor? And he's like, where you were in? And he names like two movies. Like, I never heard you. Just like, sit down. It was so good. And then yeah, the way they he made him in charge, and like the judge kept yelling at the guy because the woman kept falling asleep. It's like, yeah, get make sure you have to get her in line. You have to wake her up. The poor guy.
Yeah, that was a good idea for a show.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. The dude in the second season is so wholesome. I wish him the best quality fellow. Yeah. Both of them were good guys. So it's funny how that panned out. It would be funny if they do a show where like the guy's like a total scumbag, and like the whole plot of the second season is that like there's a company they're trying to sell. The CEO's trying to sell it, but like they don't want to, and like they're selling it to just a real estate developing company, and like they're going to destroy everything. And so they call him Hero, and they want him to save it. And it'd be funny if like the guy they picked, it's like, it's okay, I don't care. Just sell the company.
It seems like they did some pretty serious vetting of like who they're going to pick. But that second season, one of the motivational speakers or whatever came to talk to them was Ian Roberts, who was one of the big guys on Upright Citizens Brigade. I used to love Upright Citizens Brigade back in the day, so I recognized him right off the bat. But I guess You know, the other guy is probably a lot younger than me, the guy who they actually picked, and he didn't
Hmm.
recognize him.
That's
But
funny.
yeah, back on Comedy Central, UCB, that was a big deal.
I didn't recognize him. Probably should have. They should hire one of the Squid Game challengers to play the lead role in the jury duty season. Oh my god, yeah. Do you ever? Well, first of all, did you watch Squid Game?
No, I know of it, but I've never seen it though.
You've never seen Squid Game?
Nope.
Oh my god, you have to watch that.
It's
I,
it's it's fiction, right? It's not like a game show. It's just like craziness, right?
yeah, yeah. They play games, and I don't want to spoil too much, but if you lose, you die. You
Oh,
know,
jeez. So it's definitely not a real game show. Okay, it's fiction. Okay.
right?
Yeah, obviously.
But they had 2 seasons of Squid Game, and season 2 is broken up into 2 parts. Which season 1 was some of the best TV I've ever seen. Um, it's on Netflix. You should definitely watch at least watch season 1. Season 2, like if they never made a season 2, I would say season 1 ended perfectly.
Okay.
But season 2 they made it not as good. It was still fine. Still some good moments. But I wasn't not like a big fan of it. But so anyway, they made these 2 seasons, and I don't think it's gonna be a third. But anyway, they also, it's funny that you asked if it's fiction or reality, because the original Squid Game was fiction, but they made a Squid Game reality show, which is based on the Squid Game games and the whole setup of it. It's basically, real quick without trying to spoil anything, like they take 456 players, they lock them in a room, and they go play games. And so like these people are living together for a while, and so they interact with each other, and then they play children's games. Like the first game is red light, green light. And so they have to win these games. They have to win 6 games, and the winner gets a crap ton of money. And so just the way that these people are trying to survive and everything, and stuff like that. And a lot of these people are downtrodden. They're in a lot of debt and stuff like that. Like that's why they have to play these games to kind of survive. And so it's really well done. But in the end, it's fiction, right? And the game show, people are playing for real money. They're playing for $4.5 million. And
Wow.
so there is, and Patrick kind of points out, they should hire the Squid Game challengers. These people backstab each other like insanely. Like they are so cutthroat. Like it's like almost like evil, like what they do to like win this money. Like, and you see it in real life. And it's funny because like, yeah, they're not going to die, obviously,
Right. Yeah.
but the stakes are really higher because it's real life. And so they're actually playing for real money. Like the actors are not playing for this money. Like the real life people are actually paying for $4.5 million. So they're going to like backstab each other like crazy. And they did 2 seasons of this. Like first season, there's a lot of backstabbing. Season 2 was insane. Like like these 2 people like hated each other like so much. Like season 1, it felt like there's a lot of there's some clicks, and like they seem to like each other a little bit. But season 2, they look like these people hated each other so much, and like they just wanted to like, I feel like if they didn't get in trouble for it, they might have actually like killed each other. There's one guy who just like lied about everything. He's like, today's my birthday, and like, oh, happy birthday. And they see did it's not my birthday. I just did it to get a favor from these people. And and he's like, I'm playing for my kids. My kid's sick. Like, I could really use money. He's like, and then he's talking to the camera. He's like, I don't have any kids. It's crazy. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, the one dude who made the fact that he had a kid and that was his birthday. Yeah, it's so good. I would recommend for sure the fictional Squid Game. But if you want, like, it's pretty similar. Like there's so much backstabbing, and a show similar to the Squid Game. Patrick, I don't know. I should have mentioned this to you in the email. A show similar to the Squid Game reality show is called Secret Millionaire. I think that's what it's called. I just want to make sure. Secret Millionaire. The Secret Millionaire. Oh, sorry, no, sorry. $1 Million Secret. It's called $1 Million Secret. So it kind of reminds me of I don't know if you ever played Mafia, but it's a game where 12 or so people enter in this mansion, and one person in their hotel room, and not hotel, one person in their room gets a suitcase. Well, everyone gets a suitcase. One person gets $1 million in the suitcase. And so it's up to the other 11 players to hunt down this player and kind of like vote him out. They
Okay.
have a dinner at the end. It's kind of like a reality show game where they vote someone out. They have to figure out who has the $1 million, and if they're right, then someone else will get the $1 million. If they're wrong, then someone else will get eliminated, and the person who's the millionaire actually gets like sometimes they get like 2 votes to vote out someone, or they'll have that. And like there's a lot of backstabbing there too. Yeah, on the watch list. Yeah, it's good. It's really good. Yeah, there's so much backstabbing there. It's not as bad as Squid Game, but like there's so much backstabbing there. So I like that as well. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but um, I'm really surprised that you never watched Squid Game. And like the show that's similar to that is called Alice in Borderland. I don't know if you heard of that.
Yeah.
Okay, they're both on Netflix, and they're both similar. Whereas like Alice in Borderland is they also play games to survive, but they're not playing for money. They're basically playing for survival only. And it's more of a fictional universe, whereas Squid Game is meant to be like a real thing that could happen technically, but whereas Alice in Borderland is complete fiction, but still, yeah. Patrick says Alice is better. I think Alice is better too. Alice in Borderland is better, but some people say that they like Squid Game better. I think they're both phenomenal. So you can watch it and let me know one of them at least.
Yeah, to check those out.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to mention before you? I know we're over 2 hours now, so we're almost at 1 a.m. So I don't know. It's getting late.
No, I'm looking forward to the start of camp in a month, and finally getting back to football season. I don't watch baseball anymore, and it's been a lot of good quality time with my family, and I'm trying to build up a business and everything. But I can't wait for football season.
I know it's around the corner. We have like a month and 10 days or so until preseason. But not that that's real football, but still it's something.
I like even just when the camp starts though. I
Yeah.
start looking at like the depth chart order even before the depth chart comes out. You listen to the beat writers talk about who's taking reps with the first team and all that good stuff.
Yeah. I agree. That's I can't wait for it. So all right, guys, thanks so much for watching and commenting. Really appreciate it. Mike, do you want to promote NFLRoughDraft.com? Let me put that on the screen here.
Yeah, we're NFL Rough Draft. It's Ray and I. We've done some stuff here on Walt's channel. Again, we won the Huddle Report accuracy contest that Todd McShay's is always bragging about. He's won it 3 times. Great for him. He knows what he's talking about, but we've won it 3 times as well. Hopefully we'll make it 4 next year.
Yeah, I wish you the best. I hope you guys win. All right, guys. Please, like I said, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit walterfootball.com for tons of content. We'll be back tomorrow with Tom. Tom said that he has a baseball future that he absolutely loves, and it's a high one. It's not like a 10-1 or something. It's super high, but he bet on it, and he loves it. So he's going to tell you. And Annie and I came up with one as well yesterday, so I'll talk about that too. So, all right, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.